Hey, it's Grant. So there's been a lot of debate between renewable energies and fossil fuels, especially because this new administration has promoted energy sources like coal and called for heavy reinvestment in fossil fuels. Actually, no, scratch that. There hasn't been much debate at all. There's been two sides and they haven't been talking at all. There's been investment by the Democrats, Obama administration, and several other states in biofuels, solar and wind power. And then there's the other side, which is the oil lobby influenced Republicans and conservatives who believe that oil is the way to go, and they've wanted to invest in this dying technology. Fossil fuel advocates say that it is more costly to replace the current oil-based infrastructure with renewable energy infrastructure, saying it's too much money to spend on a problem that is too far in the future, quote unquote. By the way, it's not. The current estimates on oil reserves give them about, I would estimate, like 50 years, because our oil consumption has been increasing exponentially, and we're going to have a much larger population in the coming decades. So I give it like 50 years, but current estimates say 90 years or 100 years. Not only that, advocates of fossil fuels argue that there are too many technological hurdles to be overcome before renewable energies can replace even a small fraction of the power provided by fossil fuels. In addition to these claims, they say that fossil fuels will last hundreds of years longer, be made increasingly efficient, remain the most economical choice, and that reliance on inefficient alternative energies will hurt the economy, citing numerous examples of failed federal attempts to promote alternatives over the past 30 years. Unfortunately, their facts, quote-unquote, are a mix of reality and fiction. Although investments in fossil fuels are relatively cheap and easy because of the current infrastructure, the long-term costs and eventual loss of fossil fuel resources will make the investments in clean energy and renewables so much more intelligent, and you'll get a greater return on your investment over the long term if you invest in renewables and clean energy instead of fossil fuels and dirty energy sources. Although investments in fossil fuels are relatively cheap and easy because of the current infrastructure, the long-term costs of these investments far outweigh the long-term costs of investing in renewables and clean energy. The fact is, we will run out of fossil fuels. It is an inevitability. That's why they're called non-renewable resources. Plus, investing in renewables has been and continues to become less expensive. For example, solar panels have decreased in price from about $23 a watt in 1980 to 61 cents a watt in 2015, and that price will continue to decrease as time goes on. And those many technological hurdles that have to be overcome for renewables to be viable are quickly being surpassed. Multiple renewable energy startups that came about in 2008 when Obama took office and started investing in renewable and clean energy sources have undertaken the work in making renewables affordable, more available, and more efficient. We've seen technology in solar increase in efficiency by as much as 18% since the turn of the millennium. Wind turbines can now be mass-produced and are now cost-competitive with fossil fuels like coal, significantly increasing the number of wind farms around the world and increasing the amount of energy provided by wind energy by leaps and bounds. Many companies are now experimenting with biofuels and producing biofuels created from algae and other plants. And if you're worried about the economy or jobs, don't fret, because the jobs lost from the fossil fuel industry with the advent of the renewable energy industry and clean energy industry will be replaced by higher paying, higher skilled jobs in the renewable and clean energy industries. It will benefit the economy more because we will reduce externalities if you've taken econ at all in your life. And if you haven't, externalities are costs not associated with the production, or, well, not associated with the actual price of the product. It's the stuff like human health problems and other stuff like that. As renewable energy continues to become cheaper, more easily produced, more efficient, and accessible, it will become the best option, as it will be both economically viable and sustainable. The reason why there's so much debate surrounding this topic is because it has heavy implications on the multi-billion-dollar oil and gas industry. When renewable energy sources become cost-effective, the oil and gas business will go down the drain because they'll be unable to compete against an industry that is both cost-competitive and has significantly reduced externalities, which are costs not included in the production and use of a product, compared to the oil industry. It's all about the money, people. And one more thing. The attempts over the last 40 years to make renewable energy sources were not quite the failures they've been illustrated to be. Number one, those attempts were stalled by many politicians, people like Reagan and those who believed that oil was the future. Number two, those attempts created the conditions for the industry to exist and grow, and a viable market for things like electric cars, wind turbines. Number two, those attempts created the conditions for the industry to exist and grow, and a viable market for things like electric cars, wind turbines, and solar energy. So don't say they failed because they didn't. Other factors may have slowed it down, but market and consumer forces for renewable energies are the unstoppable tide that will make oil slowly fade into the past. And as always, if you want more information about the stuff that I talked about, links, as always, are down below. Thanks, bye.